All right. My name is Ed Nardi, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I am calling this public meeting to order at 7 p.m. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table, and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you're presenting via Zoom, please turn on your radio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of the commissioners, Delia, and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will automatically be continued to the September 7th NRC meeting. At this time, I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves. Bill?
Bill Cremeza.
Sarah?
Sarah Grimwood.
And Nick?
Nick Pappas.
Okay, thank you guys. All right, I think we have one set of meeting minutes up for approval. I had just one comment that I had forwarded to Karen earlier.
Anything? It looked fine to me.
Fine.
Okay, Nick, any?
Okay, yep.
Okay.
So I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended from May 18, 2022.
And I second that.
Thank you, Bill. And the vote, Bill?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Any of the commissioners have any, if you will, new business or any general commentary?
Me.
No.
Okay. And Delia, director's update, please.
Thank you. Just one update. The Assistant Natural Resources Director position, I have offered, made an offer to a candidate. She has accepted, and we are now just working out the time of her hire. I hope to have her on board within the next month.
Good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that'll be a big boost to the staff.
Yes.
All
yes.
right. Well, thank you. And good luck with that. All right. I think we have I think there's two continuances this evening without discussion, both to September 7th. Got a motion on that?
Yep, I make a motion to continue to September 7th without discussion. 1643 Monument Street, DEP file 1371608, and 82 Easterbrook Road, DEP file 1371609.
Second.
Thank you, Nick. And the vote, Bill?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. All right, that brings us to our first continuance of the evening, 371 Old Bedford Road. And is Matt or Susan going to be discussing that with us this evening?
Yes, I will.
Hey, Susan.
Hello, my name is Susan MacArthur from MacArthur Environmental Consulting. Also on the call, I believe, is Matthew Malloy and his wife, Veronica Ludensky. So as you know, this is a continuance from the July 27th hearing. And just to recap, the applicant is proposing addition and a deck and a porch, which both will be raised. And those are within the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer zones at the rear of the house. Thanks, Delia. And so at the last hearing, the commission had asked for a few revisions to the plan, and those include the stockpile location for soil when they dig down, and that's toward the front of the house. So Delia, if you zoom out a little bit, and yep, right there. So stockpile location. Also the construction access to get to the back of the house. So they'll be entering on that side of the house right there. And as you see, those trees are proposed to be removed, so they'll be able to get through there. And the commission had also asked for, well, back in the day, when I originally delineated, Delia had gone out and she had determined that the wetland, there's hydric soils under the grass, under the lawn. So I went out and revised the wetland flags, but I forgot to project the 100-foot buffer and the 50-foot buffer off of the new wetland line. So, so that is corrected now. And believe it or not, it doesn't impact the square footage of the new deck, porch, or proposed addition by adjusting those buffer zones. So those numbers kind of stayed the same. They did stay the same, but I did leave the old wetland flags turned on. The commission had asked me to turn them off, but I think that it helps to have them turned on, because then it shows that. So when I originally delineated, I delineated along the wetland vegetation line and not in the lawn, but the new line is within the lawn. So in other words, the mitigation area is going to include the restoration of lawn to be wetland, as well as some new area that isn't wetland, but it is lawn. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I left the old line turned on just so they, you can see where it's 928 square feet. So you can see that. I also, at the commission's request, have adjusted the species numbers as well as the species to be planted within the mitigation area. And Delia, if you scroll up to the upper left-hand corner of the plan, you'll see a table, and that shows there's 38 species. So we have northern arrowwood, 8 northern arrowwood, 8 silky dogwood, 4 nannyberry, 8 highbush blueberry, 2 American witch hazel, and 8 pussy willows. And the ground cover will be a wetland seed mix after those are planted. So I think that's it. I think that covers everything. And Delia did ask me about the markers.
Right.
What do you call them, Delia? The
Pheno markers.
What are they?
Pheno, F-E-N-O.
What's that stand for?
No idea.
Industry term.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, and we could certainly install those along the edge of the mitigation area. Yeah, or along, I'm sorry, along the, is it the mitigation area, Delia, or the revised wetland line?
Yeah, it's
The
been,
Mitigation, because then it'll be wetland, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
right. That's been grass and
Yeah.
replication.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The restoration area.
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
That's great.
Are those like something that we can get from the commission? Like, what exactly are those?
So if you can Google Pheno marker, F-E-N-O,
Okay.
and there's a number of companies that make them.
Okay,
They're basically 24-inch screws that go into the ground, and they are capped with a 2-inch aluminum cap that would be engraved with no disturbance beyond this point.
okay.
Great. I think that covers the commentary and list we had from last time. Did any of the commissioners have any further observations, comments?
No.
No,
Nick, you good with that?
no, I'm fine.
Okay. Does the public have any comments in regard to this project or application? Any hands, Delia? All right. So I think with that, we do have a order of conditions prepared.
Yeah, so why don't I move that we issue an order of conditions for this property, DEP file 1371606, with the standard order of conditions 1 through 20 and special conditions 21 through 54.
Second.
All right, I'll take the vote. Bill,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Good luck
Great.
with the project.
Thank you so much. Good
All
night.
right, have a good night.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, moving on to the next project. It's a notice of intent, Department of Corrections, DEP file 137-1604. And is Matthew here this evening?
Yes, indeed. Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Let's see. I think we had a pretty good conversation last time. I believe there are a couple of CPW comments, one comment or a couple of
There
comments.
was just one comment that is outstanding regarding an elevation of the infiltration basin overflow.
All right. And Delia, Bill, did you get updated on your observation last time about that other outfall and
I
just to
think-
close that out?
Well, thank you. I think we concluded by looking at the map that it was coming from the sewage
Okay.
treatment.
Right, which
Yeah.
is under a DEP permit for a wastewater
Okay.
discharge.
All right.
Okay, just want to make sure that was a good
Right.
observation, but wanted to close that
Yeah,
out with
that's
you.
good. That's good.
Okay. I don't think there's really, I don't have any further comments. Bill, Sarah,
I
Nick?
think we just want to hear
No.
what the response is. to-
Yeah, I can respond to the follow-up. I believe it's comment number 9. Essentially, what Justin was asking was about the overflows for the infiltration system. And it was just a representation in the model that shows them in elevation 129, which is the top of the storage volume, but the actual surface elevation, of course, is 18 inches taller, which is the outlet where the grate will be. So it was just we just didn't show that standpipe that would, translate the water from the top of storage to the surface area. So that's been added into the model. So the true elevation of overflow for the infiltration system outlets is 130.5. And then that, will flow overland to the east to the river. So that little hydrology correction has been made.
All right.
Matt, do we have a copy of that plan? Is that?
No, I think, Matt, the idea is that I think we have an order for conditions this evening. However, that would be subject to you getting the revised plans into us tomorrow, midday, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and it's actually just calculations. If you look at, I don't know, Delia, if you have the plan set from earlier this week, but it does show it. Maybe we'll just add a note that the outlets are at elevation 130.5, but that is the intent of those on the plan. So it is kind of shown on the plan. It just needed to be corrected in the calculations.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, again, whatever satisfies CPW in regard to those final notations. All right. And I think with that, I think we have, well, let me go out to public comment first now. Is there any public comment in regard to this application?
I'm sorry, fiddling with the plan.
No problem.
I do not see any hands raised.
All right. No, none here. So I think we could make that, whoever wants to read that, but it's still subject to receipt of those plans by tomorrow
Mhm.
at noon.
So I will move that we issue an order of conditions for DEP file number 137-1604 with standard order conditions 1 through 20, special order conditions 21 through 60, and with the notion that this is a pending the receipt of the revised calculations by tomorrow.
Bill, you didn't mention the findings A through D.
Oh, yes, I did not. Shall I read these through?
No, it just mentions A through D.
Findings, with findings A, B, C, and D, et cetera. Yep,
Second.
thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Bill,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. All right. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, team. Just, one question I think
Sure.
Steve was about to ask. For the special condition 23 regarding the environmental monitor, is there a specific schedule that the commission would like us to follow? And does that typically person get hired by the contractor or the operator for the monitoring plan?
So it's your choice who hires that person. It is somebody that should be independent from the contractor so that there's some check and balance on that. So it's either the MCI, the facility that hires that person, or the contractor can sub that out.
And is it a weekly?
Yes.
Okay, so then a weekly visit.
In a reports also required, weekly report to the commission?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's, I think, included in the
there.
conditions.
Okay. And I guess the last thing is it often or sometimes the actual engineer of record that's the environmental monitor, or is it someone completely independent of the project, but with the same qualifications?
It is anybody who has the qualifications of construction oversight.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Commission.
Take care. All right. So moving on to the first new application this evening. This is 1266 Monument Street. It's an NRAD file 137-1597. And it looks like Paul, are you here this evening?
Hi, I'll be talking about this. My name is Nathaniel.
Oh, yes. Hi, Nathaniel. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. All right. You want to just give us a brief overview?
Yep. So I don't know if you have it in front of you, but so just because I'm looking at it over here, but anyway, hi, my name is Nathaniel. I'm with Shanty McNary. So this is an ANRAD at address 1266 Monument Street. The property is located at the corner of Monument Street and Balls Hill Road. And this is just a, yeah, I know we submitted the plan. I think it was revised with a couple of minor comments from Delia, but it's just seeking confirmation of the delineation of the wetland resource areas, which was bordering vegetated wetland located on the eastern portion of the lot. There's sort of a larger wetland all the way along the far eastern edge, and then sort of an isolated wetland, but not by definition isolated wetland, sort of in the center of the eastern portion of the lot. And that is pretty much it. It's about 1,002 linear feet total of edge of wetland.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Commissioners, any comments on this? It seemed, again, it's just delineation and.
Yep.
Okay. Nick, I can't see you, Nick, so I'm just asking you, that's all.
That's good.
All right. Is there any public comment regarding this application? All right. I think with that, I do believe we have a special this evening.
Yep, so I make a motion to close and issue an order of resource area determination with finding 1. Oh, this is for, sorry, 1266 Monument Street, ANRAD file number 1371597.
All right, do we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Bill. And we'll take the vote, Bill.
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you, Nathaniel. Good luck.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.
All right. All right. Let's see. The next discussion is 58 off Harrington Ave. It's an RDA file number 22-14. And is Evan here this evening?
How's it going?
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So
Yeah.
Evan, you want to just give us a description of the project and what's it all about?
Yeah, I can give you a quick rundown.
Thank you.
Yes, we're going to be doing a patio install, 58 off Harrington Ave in Concord, obviously. Patio's 15 by 25, 15 feet starting off from the deck, headed towards, on lane towards Canby Pond, and 25 feet in width. I'm going to be using a permeable paver for the top layer, just so allow water to run through the pavers on the top. And then for the sub base and base material, we're going to be using a crushed stone. It's going to be washed. And then down for Canby Pond, for the 5-to-1 mitigation, we're going to be removing some of the invasive species towards the bank of Kennedy Pond, running up the hill to the backyard. We're gonna be taking that out and then installing some native plants as well. In terms of how much soil we'll actually be taking out for the patio, we'll be taking about a third of the total square footage closest to the deck. That soil is going to be coming out so we can then backfill with the crushed stone. Where you can see this kind of towards the end of the patio, here you can kind of see this like rectangle that's going around the border there at the end. That's going to be a retaining wall, one course. And we're going to be building on top of the hill that's there right now. So that's kind of rundown for that. Anything else?
Okay. I see a couple other components there. You see a seating wall. I see a fire pit.
Yeah, we're gonna have a 3x3 fire pit there, one course, and then a seating wall, which is going to be 2 feet high as well, in that back right corner.
Okay. So, and Evan, where would you estimate the 50-foot line is in relationship to the deck or patio?
So it's actually right where the deck ends. So right where the patio is starting. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
When you say ends, do you mean towards the house or towards the wetlands?
Towards the house.
Towards the house.
Okay. I believe so. Right between the deck and patio where they intersect, if you will.
Yeah, that's exactly right where it is. Correct.
Okay. So I know it's the, again, we do have a 50-foot no build zone. However, we have on a case-by-case basis allowed patios permeable in the 50-foot. However, I've just got concerns about the retaining wall, the seating wall, and the fire pit, because those are what I would consider built-in structures, which we do not allow in the 50-foot no build. So I think that's
I would say though that the retaining wall is going to be there to help the structural integrity of the patio and also to, help, keep that soil undisturbed.
No, I do understand that, but again, given the plan only look, if you will, I don't have a section through that. I don't understand. Is that retaining wall? I understand you have to retain to put the patio in, given the slope of the terrain on the backside of the house. However, that I would assume you could do a retaining wall that's going to be in essence flush with the patio.
We could also do that towards the deck, so we could flip it around, if that makes sense. So it wouldn't be raised up off the ground; it would be down into the ground, and the retaining wall would be in line with where the deck is currently.
Right. So if we look across the deck, you wouldn't see the retaining wall any higher than the deck. Are we on the same page with that, or?
But it was
he's suggesting, I think, the other way around. He's suggesting that the high retaining wall is backed up against the deck, and you then have to go down X number of feet to the patio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be option 2.
That would be a better option from our perspective because it removes again a retaining wall.
It's still in the 50.
It's still in the 50.
But at least you're at the 50.
Back. Right.
If you will.
I would be, if that retaining wall would be right on the line of the 50. So it would be out if I go out and measure it and we get like an official measurement on that, 50 yard.
50 foot. Yeah.
What's holding up the deck? Are there sonotubes or what is it based on? Do you know?
I'm not exactly sure. I didn't do the deck.
Because you might even put the retaining wall as part underneath the deck.
Okay.
As the alternate support, so it's out of the 50, and then they can run the patio.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's an option to look at, and then so appreciate that thought. And then again, I think the seating in the fire pit would be challenging. I think as to the 50-foot no build.
Yeah, I have a question. from the photograph that Delia had sent us, it looks like the land slopes away. So the patio, if it's flush with the land under the deck or at the deck boundary, then it's going to be above grade down towards the pond.
I think, Nick, he was perhaps suggesting if he flips the retaining wall to the other side, he'll have to excavate a little bit deeper so that edge of patio down slope would be flush, if you will. If that's right, Evan?
Yeah, you're correct. I can also share this too so people can see this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's not going to be hard to do. That's not much of a slope there.
Yeah, so essentially right now the backyard has a slope 15 feet out from the deck, a 10-inch drop, right? Yeah. So we need to put a small wall here to retain, obviously all the base material that we have to put in there. So we didn't have to, excavate into the soil anymore. But essentially, if I were to flip this, right, I would have the retaining wall up against this current deck here. We would just have to excavate deeper here, straight back.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Is that what you would prefer?
I think it would be more consistent, frankly, with what we've allowed. Typically, it's usually patios that are often built in relatively, level areas, and that's relatively straightforward to do with permeable pavers.
Right.
Obviously, I understand you have a slope here, but a retaining wall is a retaining wall. It's built, so it would be better if it was beyond the 50, if possible.
Yeah. What? Okay. And then the fire pit and the seating wall over here. Sorry, my computer's a little bit slow right now, but
yeah,
you may have to have a portable fire pit, one of those. Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, again, I prefer that retaining wall to be underneath the steps. You can get it completely out of the 50. That's going to be less of a problem for us too.
So you're saying where they have the screening,
where the screening is, whatever's underneath. I don't know what's behind that screening, but
spice some 4x4 posts off some sonotubes.
Yeah,
best guess.
Right? See what we can do with that.
That's a good suggestion. You can have a fire pit that's movable.
Yeah.
Like everybody, everybody else.
And is the 2-foot seating wall really critical?
Is it critical? No. Was it requested? Yes.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening.
We allow.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how to answer that. It's not critical, no.
No.
Okay.
So that should disappear too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, if it's a built structure, right? Which it is, at least in this depiction.
Is there any way I can bring that seating wall to the back corner, closest to the deck?
Not in the 50. Again, the part of the I guess fuzziness of this discussion is is that 50 at the deck, or is it 2 feet,
right,
this side, or is it into the existing deck? We just don't know.
Okay.
So
we just need to keep the permanent structures out of the 50.
Yeah. The patio's okay with permeables.
I gather we don't have a survey or anything else establishing exactly where the 50-foot line is?
No, this is based off the Wetlands Conservancy District.
Okay. So, yeah.
So, Evan, how would you like to, how would you, we'll go to public comment, but just the general sense is, what I understand is that there was I know contractors are tough to get out there, and there was maybe a timing element here, but nonetheless, it seems like this might need a little bit more thought. What do you think, Evan, in terms of?
Ideally, if you guys were to say, yes to everything, I would have had a team in there as early as Monday to get everything installed. But obviously, I might need to get rid of the fire pit and the seating wall there. In terms of flipping everything around, that's quite simple. So I could still have that team come in there and go about that. Would I have to get you over revised plans with that so you can see it? Or how would you like me to go about that?
Yeah, I think we do need plans. We need plans for the record.
So if you can get us a revised plan tomorrow that shows what you're looking to do, and it's consistent with what the commission has discussed now, then you can proceed and the commission can issue a determination pending receipt of those revised plans.
Yeah.
And you could move forward on Monday.
And Evan, if you could, with those revised plans, if possible, if you can put the 50 on, if you can measure that 50 again, so, oh, he does. Okay, so we're comfortable with, if he flips the retaining wall, he'll be outside the 50, you think?
Yes,
On the
I do
50?
think so.
Okay.
I think it's right at the,
Right there.
right at the boundary, but I think it's a little conservative. That
Oh, good,
GIS is a little
All right.
conservative,
All right.
so
good.
probably I don't think you need to go
Okay, good. All right.
outside of, I think if it's flush up against the deck. it'll
You're
be
good.
fine.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
And would you with that in mind, would you be comfortable with the seating wall right at the line then? Or not?
I mean,
No.
I'd have to go back out and take it.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How about the replanting plan? Or you have it replanted? Has that been thought through or?
So I did speak with Evan about that today, and we would want to see that plant list
Yeah.
prior to installation. And I don't think I included that as a condition in the determination and the approval, but I think that should be an additional condition that before you go to install those plantings after September 1, that you get staff a list of what you're looking to plant, so we can confirm that it's native.
Okay.
That sound okay? All right.
How many, again, just so I can like figure out the logistics on my end, exactly how many native plants would you want? To be
So you had proposed a number, Evan, that I don't remember off the top of my head, and I was fine with that number.
Okay.
So
great.
Mitigation includes invasive removal as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's a lot of natives out there already. So
Good.
27 native ground cover. So when you say native, so let's say native shrubs, not ground cover. That's actually.
Okay.
All right.
8 trips. All right. All right. Any public comment regarding this application?
I do not see any.
All right.
Okay.
And with that,
You wanna move to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so pending receipt of the items that we've just agreed on by Friday, I move to issue a negative determination of applicability for 58 off Harrington Avenue, RDA file 22-14. And this is for applicability numbers 2 and 3 with the following conditions. Number 1, a pre-construction site visit shall be held with DNR staff and the contractors to review erosion controls and limits of work. Number 2, the patio shall be constructed of pervious pavers. Number 3, mitigation consisting of invasives removal and replanting within the 25-foot no disturb zone shall be conducted within the first growing season after issuance of this permit. Following invasives removal and replanting, the applicant shall contact the office to confirm this work. And actually prior to this work, I guess condition number 4 is that the plant list is first approved by staff. And then number 5, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability. Any changes from the RDA shall be described.
second, Bill?
I second that. Yep.
Thank you. And we'll take the vote. Bill?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see, our next project is Concord Housing Authority, 365 Commonwealth Ave, DEP file 137-1568. And I think, Nathaniel,
Yes.
how are you?
Good. How are you? Once again.
If you want to give us a brief description, I think we understand that this is more of a technical issue than anything of substance, if you will, but.
Yes. Yeah, so I'll go over everything. So just to state for the record here, my name is Nathaniel Cataldo. I'm with Stanson McNary. This is a request to amend the order of conditions for 365 Commonwealth Ave, project by the Concord Housing Authority. So just for a little bit of background, trying to be as brief as possible, we had gotten an order of conditions to build a single family house next to the existing house at 365. It was issued back in October of 2021. And then after some time went by, the town had kind of been working in the park around the corner for a bit. So it had come about that they would not have been able to build the house in the location where it was proposed because the zone line, which is the dark dash line that goes diagonally across, overlays what was the old lot line of house 365. And there were restrictions in the original deed imposed, I forget the exact agency, but essentially by the government, that any use of that land is only for public housing. And this new house is going to be constructed by Habitat for Humanity, which is not a public agency. So none of the building can be located over that lot line unless there was significant amount of legal work to erase that, but definitely not worth it. So basically this new plan is to amend the order of conditions by just relocating the house, staying outside of the old zoning line, staying outside of an access easement over to the right on the plan, and also staying outside of the 50-foot no build zone. Results in kind of a funny looking shape for the house, but this is what the architects were able to make work to fit in this available space. We were able to reshape the driveway pavement so that the increase in impervious area is exactly the same as it was in the initially approved plan. It's just relocating the house a little further back, but still outside of the no disturb zone. A little bit of tweaks to the grading, little driveway being reshaped. But that's it. Like I mentioned, same increase in impervious area. And then because of that, the mitigation area, the planting area is the same size. It's just been moved a little bit to stay a good distance away from the house to give it a little bit of a backyard and to also, keep it in relatively the same spot. All other elements of the plan, utility connections, the infiltration trench for a portion of the roof area, pretty much all the same. Just, to kind of reiterate, it's just kind of moving the house, reshaping a little bit just to make everything work. And that is it.
Okay, thank you, Nathaniel. Again, good explanation. Seems fairly straightforward. Any comment, Bill?
No.
Sarah?
No.
Nick, you good?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, any public comment? Not seeing any? All right. I think we have a order of conditions prepared.
Yep. So I make a motion to close and issue an amended order of conditions for 365 Commonwealth Avenue, amended NOI file 1371568. And this includes finding A, standard conditions 1 through 20, and special conditions 21 through 59.
Okay, Bill?
I second it.
Thank you. And we'll take the vote. Bill?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you, Nathaniel.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, moving on. Notice of intent, 281 Munson Road, DEP file 137-1610.
Nathaniel again, huh?
No,
this is actually me.
Changing the guard. Here we go. All right. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Aiden with Stamsky and McNary. If you'd like, I can share my screen and I can show you guys the plan here.
Sure. Yep.
Alrighty, hopefully everyone can see this.
Bigger.
So we are proposing the construction of an addition here. the addition is going to be the removal of a existing deck and the replacement of it with a slightly larger deck. We have proposed a mitigation area. There initially is a planting bed here of 225 square feet. We decided to just push that back a little bit and expand it to 560 square feet. There is also an existing shed here. We are requesting to move this to the other side of the property. There is a existing dry well there that is catching runoff from the house as well as the existing deck. We are replacing that dry well to catch the existing runoff that was currently going to the old dry well, as well as runoff from the existing addition, or the proposed addition, sorry. I know we had a little issue. It's fairly well grown out here. We had an issue finding the wetland flagging. I know that that has become sort of an issue that may require a continuance. Ideally, it doesn't. From what I heard from Delia's message, it seems like she was in somewhat agreement of how they were there, even though she wasn't able to find the wetland flagging. Besides the fact that—
So maybe I can just clarify that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Please.
So Dave Crossman flags that wetland boundary, which you can see at the top of the plan.
Yeah, the heavy dark line.
Heavy dark line.
Yeah.
And there was an ANRAD, there was an ORAD that was issued in 2013 for the initial construction of this 8-unit PRD, the extension of Monson Road. The wetlands boundary from wetland flag 4, which is the second from the end on the left. So the 2013 plan shows that it starts heading down on the plan.
Like those other lines, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I met out there with Dave Crossman to review the boundary today. The flags were not evidence. So we talked about that and he said, yes, he agreed that the wetland boundary does come down, but it was off property. And so he wasn't.
Oh, sorry.
Exactly. So he agreed that the wetland boundary did come down. He just wasn't comfortable flagging off property. So we suggested that, and I emailed this to you, Aiden, earlier today, that that 2013 line be used. So to knock off flag 5 and tie from wetland flag 4 and use that 2013 boundary. So that probably means that the shed is not going to be able to be relocated into that location. I don't think it means anything for the addition.
Right.
But, you know, it has to be shown on a plan. So
yeah.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
So Aiden, are you good with that in terms of that understanding, and Dave is the guy that's going to go out and is he going to actually put the flag in, or is he just mimic what was there in 2013?
I think just to use that 2013 flagging, because he was in agreement that that's what the wetland was doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think that the proposed placement of the shed is going to be within the 50?
Yeah, because once that flag drops, if that 5 flag drops down, so it'll go to 4, then drop like this, so it'll push maybe the 25 and the 50.
Oh, drops. Okay, I was just thinking
it's going to drop
the whole
down.
thing is going to drop. Okay.
No, just 4 to 5, just that. So maybe that shed gets caught in the 50.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So I think, Aiden, with that, if you can reestablish that flag 5 to what it was back in 2013, and then kind of recast the 25, 50, 100 and see where that takes you, that
make sure the shed's outside.
Make sure the shed's outside. Maybe it makes, maybe it doesn't.
So it projects that way.
So I'm wondering, maybe I don't know if there's any other comments on the rest of the project. We can definitely get you a new plan showing wetland 4 flag coming down and over here, and with new buffer zones related to that. maybe we can just come to agreement that regardless that we will move the shed to remain outside of the 50-foot no build zone regardless. We will obviously get you updated plans. I know there is sort of a timeline that comes with this project that I'm trying to meet here. I'm wondering if just maybe there's a way that you can say that everything is fine and then on the condition that the proposed shed will remain outside the 50-foot buffer.
I think we'd have to see, I just think we'd have to, you know, get the plans updated. They'd have to be, are we on a, we're on a 2 week now, right? Are we back to two?
No,
3?
September 7th is 3 weeks.
3 weeks. So I think you'd have to resubmit the plans by a week from this coming Friday.
Correct.
And
provided those are, you know, copacetic, then
we should
have the order ready at the next meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'd be ready to issue an order.
I'm the owner. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk or not.
Sure.
But, okay.
Just
sorry.
could name and address for the Allison. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Allison Flynn, 281 Monson Road.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If I do not move this shed at all, and I don't know if I can do that, take it off, leave it where it is currently, is that no longer an issue?
Again, the shed either could be moved outside the 50 or it could be left where it is. I think that's, again,
either is fine.
You'll see it clarified with the new plans, and then you can make a final determination where you want to put that shed or leave it be. But I don't think we can, we're not prepared to issue an order of conditions this evening.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah, I think we had to clarify that, make sure that, you know.
Yeah, we don't have an order drafted for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
It will be ready at the next meeting.
Yeah. All right. Does the commission have any other comments on this?
No.
Okay, Nick, any comment, Nick, from you? All right. Going out to the public, any comments in regard to this application? Okay. So with that, if Aiden can get that in by a week from this coming Friday, we should be prepared to issue the following meeting on the 7th.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Aiden.
Yep. No problem. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening. All right. Let's see the next application, 141 Comerford Road, NOI file number 137-1611. And who's listed? Is it John? Are you here this evening?
Yes, trying to unmute. I apologize for the delay.
Good job. We got you.
Thank you. Okay, so if I could share my screen, I've just got things set up for the commissioners.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I think you've got a number of plans you want to walk through. If you can kind of, you know, be mindful of the time as you walk through those, that would be appreciated.
Yes.
And as I understand this is a amendment or revision to a previously approved plan.
So just to clarify, it is there is an existing plan on the property. I'm going to walk you through this because we are expanding a wetlands, filling a small portion and replicating a small portion. We were told that we did need to refile a new NOI. So I just want to kind of walk through where we started, where we are, and
let me just take a
sure,
second
please
to clarify. So because there is an increase in the impacts associated with the project, there is no ability under state law to amend the existing permit, which is why a new filing is being submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you,
John.
Great. So this is a starting topography of the property. I want to present this as a clean view and thank the commissioners for the opportunity to present tonight. This project had been approved in 2020 under DEP file number 1371535. And as we said, we would request a modification if not for the wetland fill and replication, which required the new intent, notice of intent. So what my presentation will do as quickly as possible is compare the approved plan with this modified plan and hopefully explain to your satisfaction the differences and why this approach was is being brought forward. So here's a simple view of the property where we started with the original NOI. The property borders conservation land all along this side of Comerford Road. Comerford Road comes down into a cul-de-sac. Baptist Brook is in the conservation land in this area and comes back under Comerford Road and continues down to the southeast. There is a small deciduous swamp that was heavily overgrown with invasive species and determined to have little value at that time by BNC Associates, who delineated the wetlands for us. As you can see, the existing driveway runs through the wetlands. There's a small invert of stone that was put here under the driveway. It's not a pipe of any kind. It runs through the 25-foot bordering zone, the 50-foot zone, and marked here are the trees that were removed as part of the intent of the project, which was to make the house handicap accessible with access from the car to the living level on the first floor. Currently, this goes to the basement level. And one of the other things that, my mistake, wrong screen, there we go. This portion of the property is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, and the 200-foot riverfront just comes across this part of it. So this will become more significant later because we did cut back some of the grading here. And that was in the botanist report as well that we had prepared. That's part of the NOI. Let me go back to our next screen. And let me share this one. So this was the approved plan in 2020. The approved plan added a driveway to come up to a parking field and a turnout. And the grading that occurred here has been accomplished at this point. So we did move the project forward a bit before coming to the conclusion that this may not be the best way to move forward. And the, let me go to the, in this area, I just want to say the, that highlighted area here is outside of the buffer zones. And the majority of the grading and the retaining wall was approved at that time. And we have gone ahead and done that rough excavating. So at this point, the rough excavating for this plan has occurred. The trees along this area have been removed. The area is well seeded and stabilized. And as the family has lived with this layout, they've been discussing the finishing steps of the project with contractors as well as the botanist. And with this input, they've decided that a change in plan would serve the goals of making the property more handicapped accessible or easily more handicapped accessible and a significant improvement on the resources and the abutting conservation land. And let me go to that next window. And get to that one. I apologize, it's a bit cumbersome. So this is a simplified view of what is proposed currently. Instead of having that driveway go through this area, we are now looking at moving it to the other side. And I'll show you the detailed view that was part of the NOI in a bit, but I think this will make the understanding of the project less challenging visually. The relocation of the driveway does a better job of meeting the family's handicap accessible goals by putting the parking field closer to the house. And we believe it has a substantial benefit to the resource area with the surrounding conservation land as well. The proposed driveway will be predominantly bituminous with a small concrete pad at its entrance and a gate at this location. The back portion will be grass pavers or pavers interspersed with grass where the existing driveway is. It'll also be a reduction in size of the existing driveway and turnout. And that was required to allow for vehicular access to be able to access the septic field, which is in this portion of the property. Director K has requested a detail of the pavers that we will put onto the plan. We expect the pavers will be essentially, to use an example, 25% grass. And so we expect that they'll look like this, roughly a 12 by 12 paver with a 3-inch grass border surrounding it. So we'll put that detail into the plan. With that change between the two, we believe we end up with a significant improvement in the resource area. And let me explain what begins to happen. Towards Comfort Road, we had talked about the deciduous wetland swamp. In this corner, there's approximately 264 square foot of that small wetland resource that we're asking to be filled. And then when we remove the driveway along this side to replicate it where the botanist feels these two wetland resources had originally been joined. The replication area would be 2 times, so at 540 square feet. That it's rejoining the wetlands would provide that improvement. And by connecting the wetlands that were separated by the driveway over 50 years ago, along with the mitigation plan, the entire wetlands and riverfront is improved. And according to B&C Associates, they concluded that the entire resource along Comfort had little value. We believe that this will enhance its value and improve the overall need of the project. We do have a detailed mitigation plan. I just want to touch base on that this does bring it to the forefront. We ended up with 5 distinct areas of mitigation, each one requiring a different treatment. And so our detailed mitigation plan breaks that all up. This area here is the temporary disturbed zone that'll be seeded and with the appropriate seeding mix. Mitigation area 1 is this hatched area throughout here. There's also a small portion of mitigation area 1 down here that'll be planted with the plant schedule. This being the mitigation area 2 is a wetlands replanting area. We've made some progress to remove the invasives and we'll be replanting that as part of this moving forward. Mitigation area 3 runs along this area, which was currently lawn. That'll be scratched down to the roots and reseeded with an appropriate mixture. And then mitigation area 4 is the balance of the wetlands surrounding the property that will be removed of invasive species, hand removed. And then mitigation area 5 is the replication area, and we go into quite a bit of detail with that. The proposed file, when everything is layered on, is a bit more...
Before you go off this plan, John, could you just show me again where you're going to have the paving with the grass in between? Not clear on where that is.
I apologize. Let me zoom in for you. That will be... It'll start at this point and continue all around through here.
Great, thanks. I couldn't remember where that was. Okay.
Okay, no worries. And let me go to the proposed file. There we go. So this is the proposed plan. We believe that the general performance standards for bordering vegetated wetlands have been met. The reconnection of the two invert separated wetlands, along with the extensive mitigation proposed, will improve the existing conditions dramatically. The proposed siltation controls, and this is the full siltation barrier, and we do have a filter mitt along this area. We believe will protect the wetlands well during the construction phase. Work proposed within the 100 feet of the stream will remove the existing driveway, which is situated at its closest point within 30 feet of the stream and relocated to over 60 feet away at its closest point on the other side. Additional work will be connecting the two wetlands with the replication, the invasive species removal, and the planting. All of the work proposed will be farther away than the existing conditions with what was already approved in the 2020 plan. The driveway and two-car garage is being added to the building at this location. We'll keep the proposed work out of the 50-foot no-build zone. As compared to the approved plan, where over 500 square feet of driveway will be removed within the 50-foot no-build zone, as well as over 700 square feet of driveway will be removed, and that's net driveway. We do have a little bit here that doesn't make it a full removal from the 25-foot zone, but again, this is farther from the stream. So the net in the 50 square, it would be 500 square feet, and the net in the 25 would be 700 square feet. 16,533 square feet of the riverfront area, or about 32.5%, is currently disturbed. And the proposed project will result in a slight decrease to 16,495. And the mitigation has been proposed in accordance with 10.585G. We look at a planting schedule of over 220 native plants and trees and a seed mixture in order to compensate for the near total loss of the wooded understory that had occurred with the invasive species. There's a net alteration of 4,387 square feet at 2X, which along with the detailed mitigation plan of over 27,000 square feet does give us the 10X that we need to get beyond the requirements. The proposed disturbance within the no-build zone and the 25-foot vegetated wetlands is significant. We believe that by moving the driveway to the other side, the relocated driveway proposed keeps as much as possible out of the no-build zone and the 25 no-disturb zone. And with the additional removal of the existing driveway and construction of the relocated driveway, the net decrease is substantial. And I'm open to questions from the commissioners, and if you'd like me to bring back any of the other screens.
Thank you, John. So just one question I have, well, I got a couple, but the driveway that's kind of running parallel to the house, is that in generally the same location as the previous plan?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. It just, but I think you're creating a little bit more pavement up towards the house. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. And where you have the suggested pavers with the grass in between, is that still the access to the garage as well?
That'll be access to the basement garage.
Okay.
But principally, the family would abandon that, but because of the need to get access to the septic and to allow heavy vehicles to go down there, we do need to have some means to get there.
Okay, understood. And then in regard to the trees, are these trees surveyed on plan?
Yes. So the original trees were surveyed. The additional trees, so we had to remove trees for this driveway. That did occur. We also had to remove some trees that were threatening the house. That's listed on the plan as the approved quantity in 2020. Those have been removed. There's an additional 11 trees that are marked through here that are impacted by the driveway being on this side. And we do compensate for that by adding significantly more trees to the plant schedule.
And those trees are done by survey, right? That's not, so we're confident that those trees have to go.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm confused. So the ones that were approved in 2020, have they gone already?
Yeah.
Yes.
So does it make sense to have them on this plan? No.
So it's a starting point.
It's a new filing, so.
But if it's a new filing and the trees are gone, why do we need to approve it? We don't.
Well, no, because this is a new filing because of the revised. Because of the revised driveway in.
So we're approving something that's happened
from this.
Right. So what you're reviewing is a plan that shows a prior condition that's no longer the current existing. That's correct.
Yeah. So that's
right.
That's why we have to do. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I'm suggesting an interim.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So to your point, dealer, right? You're recommending that interim as built, so we have.
You understand what you're looking at rather than what was prior to what was approved in 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is not the existing condition anymore.
Right.
Right.
And John, are you good with that in terms of the interim as built? So we have that as a baseline.
Yeah. So we could. So let me understand. Is this plan acceptable to the commissioners?
No, because I think when you say interim as built, it's what's there today, right?
Okay.
And this is showing the new driveway and some of the new work we're looking for. If we went out today.
Right, it's really combining what it's combining old work and new work and work that has been done and work that is requesting approval. And so there's not a lot of clarity on what
we need to approve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let me go back to this simplified view. So this is what it would look like today.
Right.
This driveway would be here. That would be the only difference.
Well, no, but it wouldn't look like this today.
This is what you want it to look like.
This is the future, right?
Right. So this is where the trees are today that will be removed. This grading already exists as it appears on this plan. The only part that's not part of this plan currently that I had removed for simplification is where the old driveway is currently.
But you also haven't cut in the new driveway either. So that wouldn't be on the interim.
What would be a proposed condition?
Proposed condition.
This would be proposed from the starting condition that would have these trees.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair. Yeah.
But, you know, so the work that's been done, you know, the trees that have been removed, those should be just sort of screened back and noted as having been removed. The existing driveway that's in place right now, that should be shown on this plan. Whatever, you know, the existing condition is now. And we talked about this, John, I would suggest that you take all the mitigation off one plan. You have one permit plan that is looking to show the existing condition and the proposed condition and show your mitigation separately, because the plan that was submitted with the application is, it's impossible.
I thought it was just me.
There's way too much going on that plan. It's just, there's way too much on that plan.
Okay, so if I heard you right, the current condition, the proposed condition, and then a separate mitigation plan with those areas just highlighted.
And do we have and John, along with that, do you have the revised tables that have been slightly changed as you go forward in terms of the impacts? The square footage changed a little bit in regard to the mitigation areas.
Yes,
Okay.
that is in the detailed plan, and it is accurate as to
Okay.
what we will be doing.
Okay.
And you'll take out open space as being an impact.
The only reason we put it on was that it was part of the approved plan in 2020, so we just kept it for continuity.
Yeah, it
No.
doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a question. The proposed driveway, it doesn't show any sort of provision for water flow under it, a culvert or stone or anything, and it's right next to a swampy area. Is anything necessary in terms of water flow under the proposed driveway?
That's a great question. Based on engineering and the topography, there's never been any water to that southeast corner of the property beyond what is that small amount of wetlands that will be impacted with the fill.
Okay, just trying to make sure, prevent you from having a problem down the road if you get it.
Yes, yeah. We don't want another culvert. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think, John, with the grass paver details, I think we'd also be looking for kind of a maintenance plan with that as well. I mean, how do you maintain that? How do you, just to make sure that it's going to stay in good shape for the duration, if you will. And I think with the wetland crossing, right? The wetland replacement area plan, we're looking for a cross section of that. Yes. Kind of a detailed description of how that's going to be built, if you will.
We do describe it in the mitigation plan, but we'll put a cross section on the proposed plan.
Okay, thank you.
Stockpiling and staging.
Yeah.
Was that all there?
I don't think I saw any staging or stockpiling area defined, or did we just miss it in the lines?
No, currently we don't believe we will have any significant staging, that the earth that's on site will be sufficient to complete the entire plan without bringing any more material on site. If we did need to stage, we would put it beyond the riverfront area up by the back of the pool area.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see.
So let me get this clear for me, that we will be closing out the first permit at the same time, if we go ahead, we'll be issuing a second permit. Is that how we're approved?
So I would suggest that there's a special condition that says that first permit is closed out within 6 months.
Okay.
So that John doesn't not have a permit.
I get it. Okay. Right. Okay. So he's
a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
All right. Sarah, Nick, any other comments?
No.
All right. Any public comment? Not seeing any. Okay. All right, John. So with this, I guess got a little homework to do. Do you think you can get those revisions and sections and whatnot to us by a week from this coming Friday?
I'm
the 7th.
Yeah, I do think so. I think that is a great window to be able to work with. 3 days, it couldn't be done, but I do believe given 10 days, we can make it happen.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll plan on seeing you back on the 7th.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. The next up is a notice of intent, 147 Minot Road, DEP file 1371613. And I think with that looks like it's Aiden. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, yes, I'll be representing this. I'll just hop right into it. I'm Aiden with Stamsky and McNary. I will share my screen to show you guys the plan here.
All right.
So kind of similar to the last one, what the plan here is there's an existing deck here. That deck is going to be removed and is going to be replaced with a screened-in porch with a little bit of a small deck area extended out just to make it flush in terms of elevation getting to the screened-in porch. A siltation barrier is proposed around the entirety of the construction, as well as a mitigation area has been proposed up here with specific plantings. The proposed mitigation area is 120 square feet, and the increase in impervious area here is 125. Fairly straightforward project. I'm happy to hear any comments.
All right. Do we have a listing of the proposed plantings? Aiden, is it on the plan somewhere?
It is right here on the bottom.
Okay. And those are all in addition to what's existing there today?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And I guess that there was a comment from staff that I'm sure you saw that the mulch would be removed, and then an appropriate seed mix, native seed mix would be in that area of the new plant. Okay. Very good. And again, I guess, this kind of the standard concerns showing stockpiling, staging, and construction access should be noted on the plan.
Okay. Yeah, a construction entrance would just be on this side here. It shows a wall here. It's just a very small stone wall that can easily be gotten over. Everything, that's why the siltation fence is open on this side. That would be the construction entrance, as well as stockpiling will be it's probably on the driveway.
Okay, if you could just note that for the plan record, that'd be great on,
sure.
On those elements.
I think if those elements are provided, that this could just go to close and issue at the next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, straightaway project. So, if you can get that in by, I guess it's a week from Friday. Again, if those are accounted for, you probably shouldn't even have to attend if you don't necessarily have to.
And we're going to put in a special condition about the lawn waste pile still.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Sarah. Yep.
So there's some lawn debris in the vicinity of wetland flag 3. So we'll just include a condition that gets removed by hand.
And near that existing septic tank and leaching area arrow.
Yes, the wetland flag 3 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, where that's pointing to. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Is there any public comment regarding this application? Okay, seeing none. If you're good with getting that in a week from Friday, you should be good to go on the 7th.
Sure, can do.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good evening.
You too.
All right. Next project is 48Y Fitchburg Turnpike, and that's an NOI file number 137-1612. And is it William or Bill going to be speaking this evening?
Good evening. Yes, I'm Bill Henchy. Hello, everybody. Chris Clausen is going to introduce us, I think, and I'll take you through, I think, much of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. My name is Chris Clausen. I'm with Quarry North Road LLC. We are the applicant, and with me tonight are our attorney, Bill Henchy. He's from Orleans, and Matt Leidner. He's our civil engineer, and he's from North Andover. And I'm just going to share my screen and put a little PowerPoint up on the screen for you. Okay, so I thought I'd start off by just telling you why we're here in front of you. We purchased a parcel of land from the town of Sudbury, and about 16 acres of that were over the town line in the town of Concord. The property was a former gravel mine, and we came before the planning board and soon to be the Board of Appeals for a special permit application for a planned residential development, which is going to include 1 duplex and 4 single family homes for that 16-acre parcel. we're going to be putting almost 60% of the land into a permanent open space. And all of that land is adjacent to land that is owned by the town of Concord. The work that we'll be showing you today, for the most part, is outside of the of any jurisdiction. There's a small portion that is within the buffer zone. I think the statistics are, I think, less than 8% of the land is within the that work that we're doing is within the buffer zone. This is a aerial image to give you an idea of where we are located. This black line here is the town line. The north of the black line is the town of Concord. South of the black line is the town of Sudbury. This is Fitchburg Turnpike. 48Y, the parcel 48Y, I'm highlighting now with my cursor to give you an idea of where that 16 acres is located. You can see that this is the outline of the mining operation that was done on this property over, I think, over 30 years worth of mining operations took place. This is a closer zoom in image of a portion of the 16 acres. And we overlaid the structures that we will be putting on the land, as along with this roadway that we'll build to service these homes. And you can see the sightings of the homes, for the most part, are within areas that have been stripped of trees and mined of material. And I think I want to turn it over to Bill now to take you kind of through the property and what we're doing within the buffer zone.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Again, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your records. My name is William Henchy. I'm an attorney in Orleans. I'm down here on the Cape, and I represent the applicant Quarry North Road LLC. I chaired a conservation commission down here in Brewster for many years, so I get the pleasure of presenting this one to you guys and ladies. So, Chris, if you don't mind, let's start with Cold Brook and show the commission where that is on the plan. There is a very small. No, next one forward, Chris. The same slide you had. No. Go back to the site plan, please. Next one. No, next one. Go forward. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That one. Nope.
This plan?
Oh, the slide you had up. That one.
There you go. Is that it?
That's it. That's it. All right. I want to go through the resource areas quickly with the commission, then I'm going to describe the work. So Chris, over on the right hand, which would be the easterly side, would you just show the commission? No, don't zoom. Chris, just stick with me here. Okay, right there is good. See, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Clausen and I had a long talk before this about who was going to control the slide.
Even the best plans go awry.
Oh, we talked about this, and he wanted the slide. So you can't see my cursor. Chris, can you go over to Cold Brook and show the commission where that is? Over on the start of the right-hand side.
Bill, I'm having a hard time understanding where you're going. So this, if you're looking line Sudbury?
No. Let's start with the riverfront jurisdiction. Can you point to the commission where the 200-foot riverfront line is?
This dash line is the 200-foot riverfront line. This
200 commissioners, 200 feet to the east of that line is the center line of Cold Brook. And Dalia and I have had a discussion about that. She wants a little documentation from us as to how the mean annual high water line of Cold Brook was determined. We'll be supplying that information. I believe she's checked all of our other wetland flags and just needs to get some documentation on that. So coming to the west, just about at the limit of work, there we go, Chris. Why don't you show the commission where the limit of work is as it goes around the property and the buffer zone?
Bill, I don't think we have that on this drawing. We have the 100-foot we show the 100-foot buffer, but we don't have the limit of work on this drawing.
You do, because it's shown by the green, Chris. That's the limit of work. Let's stick with the buffer zone.
All right, so yeah, so you've established the 100-foot buffer.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
So what I wanted to show you, members of the commission, is the area where the work is proposed is actually in kind of a bowl. As Chris mentioned, this was a gravel mine and it was excavated downward. And at the limit of work, or actually just beyond the limit of work, there is a ridge line that is formed by the natural slope that runs down to the wetlands to the north and to the west, to the north, northeast, and northwest, and backwards towards where the work is proposed. So all those contour lines that you see adjacent to the limit of work, sort of right at the buffer zone where Chris, a little to the right of where Chris has his cursor, those contour lines slope back towards the work and away from the wetland. And so it's important for you all to understand that those contour lines are not showing the slope down towards the wetland. Those are showing a slope that goes back in towards where the construction is proposed. And as you come along to the west a little bit, Chris, why don't you point out for the commission where the buffer zone line is? Because I just want to point out how relatively little of the proposed work is actually in the buffer zone. And then I'm going to describe that a little bit more for the commission.
This long dashed line is the buffer zone line.
That's the 100-foot line, Chris?
The 100-foot line, yes.
Okay.
That's correct. So the commission can see that most of the work is outside the buffer zone. There is some inside the buffer zone, but due to the quantity of the work, we filed a notice of intent rather than an abbreviated notice of intent or an RDA. So what's proposed is, of course, the construction of Rookery Lane, which is going to be managed through a stormwater system that Mr. Matt Leidner, will describe for you briefly. I'm trying to go through this quickly now. We've got, as Chris described, the 5 structures, including 1 duplex. The total square footage of structures, leaching field, and all the sort of construction work inside the buffer zone is a total of 1,545 square feet. So the amount of actual construction footprint, leaching area, piping is 1,545 square feet. The stormwater from the buildings and the driveways will all be directed to a bioretention area that will be carved into the backside of that slope. And Chris, if you can show the commission where that's located here on the plan.
This is the bioretention area here.
Right, right. And again, that sits on the backside of the ridge formed by the prior excavation. We're proposing rather extensive revegetation and landscaping work, largely at the administrator's request. I might as well give credit where credit is due. For your information, there is 47,943 square feet of restoration and revegetation that is proposed inside the buffer zone. There's another 35,968 square feet of restoration and revegetation that is proposed outside of the buffer zone, because at the present time, with the exception really of some smaller cottonwood trees that have recolonized the sand pit, this area is barren. It's kind of a moonscape if you go out there. It's all dirt that's been pushed around and moved around, and there's really very little life to it. The slope going down into the wetlands, on the other hand, is remarkable. It's old growth hemlocks and pines, and it's a spectacular forest back there, all of which is going to be preserved as being beyond the limit of work and within the restriction area that the project proposes to the planning board. Chris, next slide. So this is much of what I was just discussing. Delia and I discussed there will be a 25-foot no-touch buffer zone located within the condominium documents. We claim credit for that mitigation together with the permanent open space. And your administrator sort of pointed out that, well, zoning and our bylaws kind of require that anyways. So could you please document your additional mitigation, which is why I went through those calculations previously in terms of the work, including the structures, the leach fields, and the foundation drains, as opposed to the revegetation and the landscaping submitted. Go ahead, Chris.
You might not want this slide, Bill. This is just highlights the planting areas that are outside of the 100 foot buffer that we'll be planting with shrubs and trees, and the purple areas, the areas we'll be planting with shrubs and trees that's within the buffer zone.
So commissioners, what's shown in blue here, this is an outline of the landscape plan. What's in blue is inside the buffer zone. What's in green is all outside the buffer zone.
Right. And Bill, do you have square footages on that? You must have them somewhere in terms of the blue and green.
I do.
That's the right here.
Okay, those are the two you referenced. All right, just want to clarify that.
Right. The blue, well, whichever color was inside is 40. The blue is 47,943 square feet, and the green is 35,900.
Might be the other way around.
Imagine. Yeah.
Just the eye test might say it's flipped.
Right.
Perhaps.
Can I clarify, please?
Sure.
Okay, so the total of the
Hey, Matthew, could you name and address for the record, please?
I'm sorry. Yes. Good evening, commission members. Matt Leidner with Civil Design Group, 21 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. Just to clarify these numbers. So the blue plus the green, which is all the mitigation area inside and outside the buffer zone, is approximately 48,000 square feet, of which 12,000 square feet, the blue, is inside the 100-foot buffer, and 36,000 square feet, the green, is outside the buffer.
Thank you. That's a better clarification.
All right, thank you.
Agree. Okay, you
Mr.
go
now you're, please, Chris.
This is Matt. Maybe you can take the commission through your stormwater, very high level.
Yes. Yep. So again, good evening. So the design, the stormwater management design for the project, and the design in general implements, utilizes low impact development techniques to minimize the impact to the environment. We've designed the project to work in harmony with the land that we are working with. So not only in terms of the topography, the grading, as Mr. Henchy had mentioned, we're sort of inside this bowl, if you will, that was created by the historic mining operation of the site. But also the fact that we're within predominantly within a previously disturbed area. So the project in general is restoring what is a presently, degraded, sort of a sandy gravel, scrubby area. So that in itself really is low impact development. Also, in terms of the proposed development, we've taken measures to reduce and minimize impervious surfaces through items such as the width of the roadway, the length of the roadway, keeping it to a minimum. It does connect to the roadway system in Sudbury on two ends, but we've kept the length of the portion in Concord to a minimum. And also if you saw on the proposed site plan, we've held the homes fairly close to the proposed roadway to keep the driveway length as well to a minimum to keep the impervious area down. We've also incorporated low impact development techniques into the design of the stormwater management system. So we have a stormwater management system on the site. Chris, if you could go back to that rendered site plan, that would be helpful. Not that one, the rendered one, the board. Yep, perfect, thank you. So we have a system in place here on this plan that will collect the stormwater and mitigate it, both in terms of the rate of runoff and the volume. We're fortunate that we're kind of in a bowl here, so we don't have a lot of runoff off to the perimeter of the site. We're able to pretty easily collect it within the site and manage it within the site because of that that unique feature of this site. We're using extensive infiltration measures on this site. So to the rear of the homes, up on the page, as Chris Clausen had pointed out earlier, we have a bioretention area that will collect runoff from the rear yards of the proposed homes, as well as the rear portions of the rooftop areas of the homes. And then down the page, the front yards and the front parts of the roof and the roadway, the runoff from that area will go to a subsurface infiltration system where Chris is outlining there on the right side, the eastern end of the project, which is the lowest point on the project site. And the water will be infiltrated there. Something of noteworthy on the design here is that none of the impervious area will flow directly off site. All the impervious area, so all the rooftop area, driveway area, and the roadway area will get collected, pre-treated, and then the final treatment will be either through the bioretention area or the subsurface infiltration system. Those two systems have been designed to fully contain up to and including the 100-year storm event without any overflow. So there will be no overflow out of either of those two stormwater management systems until after you would get beyond the 100-year storm. So there are significant systems that will infiltrate a significant volume of stormwater. And actually this project has been designed to mitigate not only the peak rate of runoff leaving this proposed developed area, but also the volume of runoff. So that neither the rate of runoff nor the volume of runoff from this proposed development will exceed the rate and volume that exists in the current condition on the site. So that's significant. That exceeds the state standards. It is a town of Concord standard to mitigate the volume, and that is a very, very stringent standard to meet. And this project, of course, does meet that. So the treatment of the stormwater, once it's collected, before it goes into the infiltration system or the bioretention area, which is also an infiltration system, undergoes pre-treatment through filter strips or water quality units, depending on which area it is. So the combination of the pre-treatment and then the final treatment yields a very high level of treatment for the stormwater leaving this site. And we did submit, along with the notice of intent application, in addition to the design plans, a comprehensive stormwater report, which includes calculations and a narrative and figures showing how the stormwater system has been designed to meet the applicable standards.
Right, and DOCPW is still reviewing that, correct?
So that is under review, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Matt. I'll just try and wrap this up. Just wanted to highlight the landscaping plan that we have amended per Delia's recommendations. So as Bill and Matt both pointed out, that this was a formal gravel mine, and our original landscape plan, after Delia reviewed it, she suggested that we make some change the seed mix in this area here to be a native New England seed mix, and we've updated that. And then we've also are going to, she asked that we replant this area here with trees and shrubs, and we have done, this is the revised, I'm trying to zoom in here, the revised plant schedule for this kind of orangish colored area. And there's, I don't know, 500, 600, 50-ish trees and shrubs that will be planting in this area here with this grouping. In addition to that, we're planting another, I think, 100 other trees and shrubs throughout this area here. So we took direction from Delia and made those revisions, and I did file that updated plan with your commission. So lastly, part of the PRD process, the planning board and planning department has asked us to bring Concord Municipal Light and Power into this property. It's ends at the town line, so we have to extend the line from Concord in along Route 117 and then up into Sudbury and then into the property. To do that, we will be when on Route 117 we'll be installing the CMLP line underneath the road. When we get to Sudbury, the town of Sudbury has asked us to pin those lines to the poles that they don't want their road torn up. So we have to get 4 new poles installed by Eversource and then pin CMLP's lines to that pole, to those poles, and then bring it across Route 117. There's a when the work is done in the roadway, it's within a 25-foot limit of wetlands, because there's wetlands on each side of Fitchburg Turnpike in that location. So we'll, if it's needed, we're going to request a waiver. I don't know if we haven't determined if a waiver is needed or not because the work is done within the road. But if it is, we will ask for a waiver. And then we also have to file
this application. Yeah.
We're also filing an RDA with the town of Sudbury for this work. And I'll just show you the next sheet has the kind of the proposed workway. So this portion of the CMLP line is in Concord. And so we have to extend it from this point down to the town line. When this plan was done, we thought Sudbury was going to have us installed under the road, but now it looks like it's we're going to pin them to the poles here along this road. The road, there will be one road crossing, which is at this location here, and then we'll bring the line up through Sudbury into to the town line. And that's the end of a summary, and I thought we'd open it up to questions to the commission and to the public.
Thank you, Chris, and Bill, and Matthew for that review. Let's see. So a couple of things, and Delia may have passed these on to you in regard to have you, as part of the submission, have you requested a SWIP? You're going to do a SWIP for the project?
Yes, we'll have a SWIP. It's part of, I think, our Matt. It's in your storm. We said we'd file a SWIP with the stormwater. The DES permit. Right.
The project will be subject to NIPD's construction general permit. Will require a SWIP, and a SWIP will be in place prior to construction.
Okay. And I think, Delia, you had mentioned some additional erosion control on the plan.
Yeah, so I think primarily in the location of the retention basin, if there's some interim erosion control measures.
Matt, is that something that you know where she's asking for this?
Well, I know the location, and I'm happy to either work with the commission right now or talk after this with Delia to work out the details of what exactly the additional erosion controls would be. But I think it's something, we're certainly open to, and we can adjust the plans accordingly.
Okay.
Great.
And then I think another notation was just trying to, as part of the special condition, is getting a construction sequencing and kind of general schedule of the construction activities out there. So we kind of know what's going to happen and what's going to come first and proceed, et cetera. So
we can put that together for you.
Yep. So everybody's aware of what's going to really occur. And I think, I know you had mentioned that there's not necessarily a lot of trees out there, given the history of the site. But if there are any trees in the buffer zone, they should be surveyed and noted on the plan, both size and species, and whether they're going to be removed or retained, etc.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is Bill Henchy again.
Yeah.
So when Delia and I had a conversation about that, and she was asking for, I just want to confirm this with the commission. Delia was asking that trees 6 inches or greater DBH be shown on the plan. Not every tree. There are certainly some smaller cottonwoods. And in terms of DBH, I would say 3, maybe 4, and Delia can confirm that or not.
You're good with 6.
Yeah, 6 inches.
Yeah, that's the, yeah. So 6 is kind of where the starting point.
Okay, there may be some of those in the area of that duplex. We'll take a look. So we'll identify with 6 inches or greater on the plan. Is that right?
Correct. And then indicate if they're going to be, if you'd like them removed, if they're going to stay. You also have to provide a tree protection detail, of which the NRC has a typical tree protection detail that's easy enough to kind of graft onto your plans.
Okay. Very good.
About the sizing of the mitigation, did you sort that out?
No, so what was a point of discussion on the sizing of the landscaping? So
you're talking about the plants themselves,
right,
the trees.
Yeah, right.
Yes, yeah, because that's, again, I think if 500 trees or whatever the count is, ultimately, I guess the concern looking at the schedule was how many of those trees are going to survive, whether it's through 6 inches.
I think they were 6 inch. Some of them are like 6 to 12 inch.
6 to 12, 6 to 16 inch trees, and it's, you know,
what we had looked at when the town did a slope restoration at White Pond. We also had a very large number of plantings, a couple of thousand of plantings that went in, and that those sizes were 18 to 24 inch.
What I was hoping that we could do, Delia, is since we have such a large number of plants to plant for 6 homes, that you'd allow us to plant the smaller trees, and we could have a review, an annual review for the first year or 2, and if any trees don't survive, we'd replant them. If that's okay with you.
So, I mean, that's going to be a condition regardless. Any trees that don't survive, it's a 2-year survival.
Oh, it's a 2-year?
2-year survival.
Okay.
But so I think 6 inch planting is just going to get stepped on.
And or eaten.
Or eaten. That's maybe something else actually you want to consider is fencing for deer herbivory or you know, whatever. But 6 inches is, so can you just take a look at the 18 to 24? I don't think that you're going to find that there's, you know, a real problem from a wholesaler in terms of costing for something. Those are still very small
I agree.
plants.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, I had a question about, I don't know this area well, but my understanding is there's some trails in the area. I wondered, are they on any of the maps that you have that you could just direct us to?
So there's might be able to go back to the very beginning.
Further
away. Okay.
I think that that's something that.
Well, the concern was that we don't want new trails created.
Right.
From the houses or such like. So, do you know, is there going to be anything in the homeowners rules, documents, whatever?
The existing trail network is all on the town of Concord's land back in here.
Okay.
The White Pond. And
with a trailhead?
There's a trailhead, I think, like right around.
It's up along the border there.
Yeah, it's right in this area. I think
that's it. Right around there.
Run
there.
Here.
So.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
There's another trail.
Okay, so that's fairly near, isn't it? So, I mean, yeah. So we don't want a new trail cutting through to connect. So that would be a condition.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll send that on to planning and zoning so they have that.
And I think it's important to understand that where Bill and Matt were describing the limit of work, the grades are going on the north side are really steep. They had steep down. So it's not really feasible from a hiking standpoint to even drop a trail back in here.
Okay.
So I don't know, that's not an issue, right?
So you're not planning to regrade then to put any more, any to change that slope at all?
No, we're staying under that. No. So.
Okay.
Right.
Let's see.
I hiked these trails down in here before, and I don't, I don't think that, maybe Delia, you might know, I don't think any trails are back in here. This is all wet. And
there's a trail that comes down that road. So the
right
water
here, right.
road, and then there's a trail that extends. It sort of leads right about to the edge of the next property, right there, maybe right about there. That's where the
rookery is, yeah.
Right.
But through this, through the swamp, there's nothing, and on the subject property, there's only game trails. It's very steep.
Chris, I think we're perfectly happy with a condition that says no new trails to be created outside the limit of work. Right?
Yeah, that's fine.
I know there's only 4-6 houses here, but there's God knows how many on the other side of the road. So you don't want,
yeah, I think that's fair. All right, Bill, any other
Nothing
comments?
else for me, no.
Sarah?
No.
Nick?
No.
Okay. All right. I think with that, we'll open it up to public comment in regard to this application. Yes.
Hi, 315 Plainfield Road in Concord. So I just have a question about currently that ridge. If you were down, there's trails along the base on the north side of the wetlands. There's some trails over there you didn't show, but anywhere in that wetlands area, you cannot, that ridge you're talking about protects views anywhere in the wetlands from the Colbert Crossing subdivision. And question is, will that ridge be cut in height? Because I was looking at the, from what I was looking at today, it seemed like it's going to be flattened out. Is that true or not true? I think that's for Bill or,
I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, I think the short answer is no, but maybe Matt should respond in detail on that one.
And maybe you could just pull up a plan again. I think you had a grading plan. Maybe a column grading plan that can.
I looked at it for hours, and it seemed like from what I saw that the ridge was going to be reduced in size, and the homes would be the high ground.
Oh,
no.
Is that true or not? No, okay.
I don't think so.
So that all the runoff will flow to the south. Is that right?
Correct.
Right.
And you will not be able to see these homes from.
Ooh, I don't.
From Plainfield Road.
I can't. They'd have to speak to that. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to speak to that question.
Please.
Of the ridge. Sure. So the ridge on the perimeter there is not proposed to be lowered in any way. So our limit of work is essentially the top of that ridge, and then we work inward into the mining operation from that. So we're not proposing to lower that ridge in any way.
One more question. How far are these septics from the town wells? That's for Delia, I guess, or
no, it's for Matthew.
How far are the town wells from the
applicant?
To the town well, I don't have that figure off the top of my head. I know we meet any required setbacks, and we exceed the setbacks required in terms of the leach fields from the wetlands.
The septic systems are essentially here, right?
Yeah.
And the town well is here.
Yeah.
And that's under review by CPW at this point, correct?
Yeah.
Those wells are sucking a lot of water. So the zone of depression is going to be very steep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Bill.
It's a little tough with the hybrid format, but I can also tell you that prior to the permitting and construction on the Sudbury side, My clients did an extremely extensive geohydro study of the site and the location of the groundwater table and the direction of groundwater flow. And if my recollection is correct, I think we're completely outside of the zone 2 of the Concord wells in this particular location. We're within the zone 2 of the Sudbury well, but I don't believe the direction of groundwater flow from this location is towards the Concord wells. And I would approximate the distance. It's about half to 3/4 of a mile or something like that for these 6 houses to the White Pond wells.
That would be great if you can just confirm that, Bill, and just send something to us so that we have that for the record.
Sure, assuming my recollection is correct, but I'll confirm it for you one way or the other. And I can certainly confirm that distance. We have that.
Okay.
I have a question, if I could jump in.
Is there anybody else?
Yeah, there are. There's a number of questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Mark Richard, 378 Plainfield Road. Is there an elevation drawing? I'd be interested to know what the elevation of the houses are compared to the elevation of the ridge. So that directly impacts my view. So that's
I do believe that there is elevation shown on where the new houses are going, top of foundation. Right.
Yeah, there are, and just from the standpoint of the visual, that's not something that is under the Wetlands Protection Act purview. The visual, it is something that is reviewed by planning and by zoning, but that information should be on the plans.
Right, and it's also certainly on the NRC documents page, so you could take a look at that and see where the foundations are in relationship to the grading of that ridge, and you can start to kind of get a sense of how they set.
Right. Okay. So 35 feet above the foundation?
I don't know. I don't really know the designs. That's again planning, if you will. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, please.
Ann Tisdale Ashford, 392 Plainfield Road. I have 2 major concerns. One is the effect on the aquifer and the well system in Concord, which is constantly in jeopardy. And the other one is the impact on the septic system of this development. And will it impact the Sudbury River at all, as with the stormwater? That is one of my other major concerns, other than traffic and safety and public safety.
Understood. I think we heard a little bit tonight. Again, it's not our purview necessarily in terms of stormwater, but it seemed as if the stormwater was, being captured, not towards the wetlands, but back into the development.
What's the river?
No.
So the Sudbury's not close to here.
Yeah,
there's a tributary to Cold Brook that is, Chris, if you want to show where that tributary to Cold Brook is, but Sudbury River is
Sudbury River is off the screen.
Right. Yeah.
This is Cold Brook right in here.
Yeah, and I think those concerns are, appropriately well placed, but I think that's really what probably CPW will be looking at in terms of septic impact, well impact.
Jonathan Ashford, 392 Plainfield Road. Am I right in thinking that all 5 buildings are on the site of the old quarry?
Yes, I think they
on the site of the old quarry.
Just about. Yes, they're all on the old quarry, and I think they demonstrated. Or at least saw on the first slide, they showed that predominantly all the housing, if not a bit of the duplex, is all in disturbed gravel areas, if you will. There you go. That's kind of what give you a sense of that.
Is it abut the new Polte development that's kind of in Sudbury? It's right there.
So that is sort of down to the left.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, see the road there at the bottom?
That passes through that.
Road's connected or the under construction development. Right?
Yep.
For all of
so the access road is in Sudbury only. So, yeah.
Right.
Did you have a question?
I got answered.
Okay.
I was asking about the elevation of
okay.
It's 35 from the foundation.
So 35 is the height, the maximum height of a new building.
By zoning.
From a zoning perspective. It's not something that the NRC reviews.
They must have an elevation plan of the
Yeah.
road relative to the ridge.
I'm not sure about the ridge, but I think you can ask them.
Hello, am I able to speak?
Just give us 1 minute.
So
she might be answering the question.
Well, I was hoping that Chris or somebody could respond to your question.
Okay. I didn't know if she was a citizen looking to make a comment.
I'm a
Oh,
citizen. I'm in a butter.
Oh, sure.
I'm in a butter. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm
please.
on the phone, so I'm having a hard time following because I couldn't get let in on the computer into the meeting, but I do have the paperwork. But I'll introduce myself. I'm Michelle Poor. I'm the neighbor on 488 Fitchburg Turnpike. So a lot of this is definitely of importance to me. But yes, I do have a number of concerns regarding more digging over there in the groundwater because it does flow toward me and my well. So I would like some kind of testing done to make sure that my wells won't be affected any more than they already have been by the building of the Quarry North. I'm also concerned about, you're talking about the elevations of the houses, but it appears that the next planning board meeting, they're actually trying to raise those houses. So that needs to be discussed as well. I'll stop there and I'll move on to my next ones, but I don't know if Chris or Bill want to address those two things before I move on.
Well, the elevation of the houses, I don't think is really our jurisdiction necessarily. So I think that, I'm not sure.
Maybe just to sort of, because a number of people have raised it as a question, to just have the applicant just be able to respond to say, yes, the plan can be found here, right? You must have that plan somewhere.
Oh yeah,
or when, I guess just an honest answer when they say, you know, how high will the houses be, to let them know that you're actually trying to get approval to have them go higher, I guess is what, just so that the neighbors are understanding that.
I think Mrs. Poor, hi, how are you? This is Chris Clausen. And
hi, long time no talk. Yeah.
Right. So I think what you're referring to is in the PRD application, there was a section that talks about, there's a section of the code that refers to, Matt, maybe you can explain it better, but it has to do with where the existing soils are. And then that's where you take your measurement for the 35 foot.
Chris, I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt for a second. I don't want to get into discussing planning board and zoning board issues at the NRC meeting. I'm just, if you can just point to where the plan is, so that people can take a look at it. I think that's
it's with the planning. It's been filed.
The information they need.
Been filed with our PRD application with planning.
Okay, so it's going to be on the ZBA website.
Right.
And I actually think it's probably the same plans that we have here.
Yeah. More than likely. Assume they're consistent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the questions about the wells and so forth, I've actually located that zone 2 figure. If I could share my screen, I can show everybody. I think that might be helpful.
Sure.
Thank you. Now, if I don't screw this up, let me.
What's that?
Questions.
Okay. Yeah.
So this was a figure submitted to Mass DEP when we did our geohydro work. And you can see the line in blue that I'm following with my cursor here. That is the zone 2 of the Sudbury number 5 well, which is located right here. The line in orange, which comes down here and then cuts down across and just catches the northwesterly corner of the site, which is across the wetlands. And then just over here where no work is proposed, that is the zone 2 boundary for the Concord White Pond well, which is shown here. And so any leachate that is released within that orange boundary, for example, from all of these subdivisions here in Concord and over here to the east and to the north of White Pond and so forth, all of that would find its way into the Concord White Pond wells. The proposal here is outside, entirely outside. All of the leaching fields are entirely outside of that zone 2. So none of the wastewater here in any respect will travel towards the Concord White Pond well.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate the overview. All
Now-
right.
Now,
Let's go
what
back
about
to,
private wells in that? Is there, do we have to consider private owned wells? Because I'm within a few hundred feet of the proposed building.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, the project design meets all the Title V standards. And as the commission knows, performance with Title V or a more local Board of Health regulation, of course, we're going to meet all of those, is presumed to protect the interests of public water supply and private water supply under the Wetlands Act. So I think that responds to Ms. Boer's question about the private wells. And if I'm not mistaken, I think her property is located, probably 600 or 800 feet to the southeast of where these leaching facilities are proposed. So I'm not a hydrologist, but I can cite the regulations to you, and our compliance with Title V, Concord Board of Health regs.
So if I get my water tested and I've got high sediment levels from the building. So if I have an issue with that, how do I propose that to the board to say, we need to stop building because it's directly coming and affecting my system with the sediments? And
yeah, I guess I would really have to address that with people that deal with that, which would be at the zoning and CPW level.
Board of Health. I mean, if
Board of Health. That's fair enough.
If there's concerns about sedimentation of a well, that's something that you would want to talk to the Board of Health about.
Yeah, it's beyond our purview. So.
Okay. And then I have two more things, if I could. I don't want to take anyone's time, but there just hasn't been anything addressed on how you're going to preserve the heron preserves. Will there be, because we've, with all the buildings, that wildlife has nowhere to go. So we're now essentially taking out the last bit of wildlife from there to the river. So is anyone concerned about that? And are you going to do anything to keep, people off of that, or to help the wildlife kind of rebuild after all the building that's been happening?
So others may know better, but there was an active rookery there many years ago that has dwindled, that sort of right off the road to the White Pond well. You take that trail out, that rookery is not as active as it was. I don't know if I didn't look this year, but I don't know if there were any nests this year. We definitely don't.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
I'm sorry, this is Delia with Natural Resources.
Okay. Hi, Delia. Okay.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
And we of course don't want to be doing anything that is having any permanent impacts to wildlife. I guess I would, this is within the existing gravel pit for the most part. So from that standpoint, I think there's less of a concern certainly for the herons having any lasting impacts to them.
I definitely, that's just my last thing. They keep talking about the gravel pit and everything. The part where they're building the homes, I'm very familiar, this is where my children have grown up. It's actually things that were disturbed previously, but in the last 10 years, this hasn't been touched. So there is plenty of nature and regrowth on exactly where they're proposing to build those homes. So I understand the gravel pit is kind of no man's land to everyone, but the outskirts of where they're proposing this, there'll be quite a bit of damage done to the wildlife. That's all. I just want to make sure that people are noting, because I don't know if there's been walkthroughs, but I am concerned about that, definitely, because that's a slip that's very important to nature, coming through our yard, going toward White Pond. That is the only place they have to go now. And if we take that out, I'm just concerned about you know, where they're going to go.
May I
Thank you.
underscore that? This is Frederica Egan from 31 Fern Street. And sorry to interject, but I just really wanted to underscore that. I really appreciate her pointing that out. I think there are a number of concerns, but since the quarry project has come underway, I mean, in some ways it's been lovely. The animals, the wildlife that we've seen has been really pretty marvelous and spectacular, but the reason it's heartbreaking, they've been driven out of their habitats. And during the beginning of the pandemic, my son and I would walk the sand pits and we watched osprey pair raising a young in that area that was, you know, is being described as just sand and rock and nothing else. And I walk back there every single day, and it's a beautiful, and even the little shrubs, the birds that come pouring out of there, there's, you know, there's a lot of little critters that that's their home. So we don't always appreciate, you know, we think of trees and mosses and water as a lovely habitat, but there were swallows living there, and there's all sorts of foxes, coyotes, and then they're interfacing more with humans. So I would love to see there be a plan to mitigate the act, to preserve as much as possible. The other piece I would ask you to consider is the decibels. The noise has been extraordinary, and that impacts humans, and that also impacts, again, the wildlife. So I appreciate your consideration. I think those are really important points.
Thank you.
If I could just add one thing, used to hear owls all the time. Haven't heard them since the building started over there. And again, I've got photos of bobcat kittens that are now showing up on my land, which abuts the rookery.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Being moved.
Delia, anybody else in?
I'm not seeing any.
Let me just double
I
check.
know you had a public comment by Vaishing that you wanted to acknowledge. Yeah.
Did you want to read that in? Okay.
So Jane Prentice, 15 Fern Street, was not able to attend the meeting tonight. She raises concern protecting the wetlands, not wanting trees within 75 to 100 feet of the wetlands to be removed, maintaining a evergreen visual buffer. And she mentions the concern about the height of the homes, so the homes are not seen as you look across the wetlands from Plainfield and Hemlock Street. And she reiterates that climate change, that the protection of the wellhead and wetlands is critical.
Thank you.
And there was a second email that we had received that I forwarded to the commission. There wasn't a request to read that into the record, but I did share that. I let the person know that I had shared that with you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I think
I do have another. There's a hand up
there's
from
now?
Suzanne Langridge.
Okay. Suzanne, name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Suzanne Langridge, 77 Bolton Street. Appreciating the discussion and Delia, your work on trying to bring in native plants and the habitat restoration. I have a question that about just the fact that it was a gravel pit, and wondering about just any concerns around toxins associated with the past use of that land, and sort of digging into it for any sort of impact that might have on both humans and wildlife and wetland areas. My understanding is that because it used to be, has been this gravel pit, that there are possibly some toxic issues associated with the space.
Chris or Bill, any response to that?
Maybe Chris can take it, but I can tell you that there was a phase 1 and a phase 2 21E assessments done on the property, and they all came up clean. There are no issues over there.
Right.
Thank you. All right. So with that, I know there's some revisions. Are you guys prepared to submit those revisions a week from this Friday?
I'm not sure I can get the trees. I mean, I can try and get that for you,
Sure.
but having the trees surveyed, I just got to see how fast the surveyors can get out there and do that, and then plot that. That would be the only
lead time issue.
Yeah, but it's feasible. A week from this Friday, I think I can get that done.
Okay, if you can, that's great. You could be on the 7th. If not, just let staff know, and it'll be it'll be the next meeting.
Okay, very good. Okay. Hey. So we'll continue this meeting till the 7th?
Yes. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Let's see. We have one more meeting this evening, or application. That's notice of intent, Concord Academy, 176 Main Street, DEP file 137-1614. Is Mary with us, or? Look like Mary, but.
Yes, I'm here.
There we are. All right.
I think Don Kingman would like to speak first.
Sure. Sure. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, and then we get that out of the way, and then we can jump into it.
Good evening. My name is Don Kingman. I work for Concord Academy. I live at 166 Main Street.
Tom Kearns, I'm president of DSK Architects and Planners and resident of 544 Cambridge Turnpike.
David Jason, DSK Architects. I work for him.
Yep. Very good. All right.
And
we have a couple of folks from Zoom also.
Okay.
Let me introduce.
Sure. If you'd like, then we get all done.
Okay. So we have Sean Malone from Oak Engineering. We have Mary Rimmer from Rimmer Environmental Consulting. And we have JP, who's part of Carly Cottrell, our landscape architect.
Hello.
Great. All right. You want to just give us a brief overview of the plans, and then we can jump in.
Academy has reached their centennial. This is our 100th year birthday, and we have been working on this project, which is really centered around the performing arts for about the past 3 or 4 years. We've had multiple conversations with town staff, including Delia. We've had a number of meetings and engagements with the butters and neighbors. And from a permit process, you are our first. We go to historic districts tomorrow night and continue through the process. So we're looking forward to this. What are we trying to do here is we have an existing performing arts center that was built in the mid-60s. It was when we were a girls' school and a much smaller population, and it's really not designed for our pedagogy that we have now. What we're proposing to do is create a new performing arts center. The existing performing arts center will remain as is, and we'll use it as an assembly hall. It won't hold any of our performances that we have. The building's about 37,000 square feet. It will have 3 major components in it. There is a music hall, which will seat about 125 people. There is a theater that seats about 175 people. And as a comparison, our existing performing arts center holds 400 people. So we're much lower in the numbers. With that, there goes certain support spaces, costumes, and shop spaces. And then another important component we have is calling P3, a presentation, production, and process area. This is more, think about a white box, if you will, versus a black box. But it's important to us from a pedagogical part of our teaching. And we've looked, when we started thinking about this building, we had a rough idea where it was. We looked at a number of options on campus. And as you know, our campus, we're limited by the river and Main Street and neighbors east and west. So we're kind of constrained. And so we came up, this was the best location that we had. And so to do this, to construct this building, we need to move 2 existing residential buildings. They hold adults that live on campus. We want to convert an existing oversized 2-car garage at 238 Main Street into an apartment. We don't want to lose any adult housing. And what that will allow us to do, and one of the buildings we're moving would take out a basement apartment, which is problematic due to the water table. And then we're also going to do some additional parking, utilities, and site and landscape work. This will give us a balanced campus, more of a cohesive look, if you will. this improved green space, resource protection, and most importantly, that 21st century building that we're looking for our arts. What I'd like to do now is turn it over to Mary Rimmer to talk about existing conditions, and then she'll pass it on to Sean Malone, and we'll cycle through and hopefully give you enough information that you need.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much, Don. And while Sean is loading up the site plans, I'll just go over a couple brief administrative items. We have received a file number from DEP. As you know, the file, the website says they're waiting for a fee to clear revenue. It's cleared Concord Academy, so we're just waiting for it to clear at DEP. We're also waiting for comments from Natural Heritage. They usually take their full 30 days for review these days with their backlog. And I understand that there is also review pending from the Department of Public Works on the stormwater management and floodplain calculations. So we're obviously not expecting you to close the hearing tonight, but wanted to bring up those items. So this parcel that this part of the project is proposed on is about 29.4 acres in size. And we're proposing to do work on the western portion of this parcel. So you can see Sean has identified with attached line sort of the limits of work within the project area. And we have several different resource areas. Obviously, there's the Sudbury River. We have mean annual high water to the Sudbury River that's shown on the B series flags for bank along that edge. And then there's also a narrow bordering vegetated wetland extending up gradient of the mean high water flags to the river. So it's just a pretty narrow forested wetland right along the bank there. And then there's floodplain associated with the river as well. We have elevation of 120.3, which extends all the way up to the existing parking, the toe of slope around the existing parking lot, existing tennis courts, as Sean is indicating there. And then the other resources is obviously the 200-foot riverfront area. And if you could highlight those, that boundary right there is the limit of the 200-foot riverfront area. And then you can see it extends across the existing playing field and a portion of the tennis courts. And also there's an existing faculty house right along the river, and all of that was within the riverfront as well. So those are essentially the resource areas that are present. And as you can see, it's a pretty densely developed area with the exception of the existing playing fields, which is open field. And I'm going to turn it over at this point to Sean. He can go over the proposed conditions, and then we'll flip back to me at a later point in the presentation.
Great. Thanks, Mary. Good evening, all. Again, for the record, Sean Malone, Oak Consulting Group, the civil engineer for the project. And just to describe a little bit more of what's going on this portion of campus known as West Campus. Currently, there's a main access point here besides the Phelps House, and that enters the property from Main Street and goes into kind of a series of segmented parking areas back here. There's also the faculty residence known as 220 Main Street, and the Ides Cottage here. And then there's a large tennis court in this area. And then there's a second entrance at the far west portion of the property that extends down to 238. This is the faculty residence that Don was referencing would be renovated as part of this project. This existing garage would be renovated. And I'll show you the proposed plan in a minute, but I want to point out that the Ides Cottage right here and the faculty residence 220 are kind of in the middle of the development. So they're proposed to be relocated on the property. And I'll switch to the site plan. So just real quickly going back, this is the Ides Cottage. This is 220 Main Street. And this is the new Centennial Arts Center, kind of located at the heart of the campus. We've eliminated the segmented parking areas that were previously back here and consolidated parking into this one main parking area and then a smaller parking area here. The main entrance to this portion of campus would be relocated to the west side. So this would provide entrance to the CAC, as well as to this new area where 220 and Ides have been relocated to, which would be, we've been calling it Academy Village. So these would all be faculty residences. We've reviewed this with the fire department. These hatched areas in here are grass pave systems for the fire department, as well as this area here, which is outside of jurisdiction, but still important nonetheless, and to try to reduce the overall impervious area with this project. What we're showing you here is a reduction of 23,650 square feet of paved parking and gravel area from the site. So again, real quickly, all of this impervious parking and driveways is going to be consolidated, reducing by about a half an acre. We are increasing the overall roof area on this portion of the campus. This is about 22,100 square feet. But this is obviously roof runoff. It's considered a lot cleaner. And in my opinion, it's a lot better than parking and gravel driveways. But the net result is an overall reduction in impervious area in this portion of campus by 1,550 square feet. And as you can see, some of the project is located within the resource areas that Mary pointed out. We do have a portion of the project in the riverfront area, as well as a portion of the project in the floodplain area. These houses were relocated to this area because, quite frankly, there wasn't really any logical place for them to go. The whole rear of the Concord Academy property is all floodplain. This is upland, so we're able to locate the houses in area outside of the floodplain. As I mentioned, we are impacting some floodplain. So this top sketch shows areas of floodplain that would be filled. We're filling, it's just in the upper 2 feet or so floodplain. So this is elevations 118 to 119. This cyan is elevation 119 to 120. And then the pink sliver is the 120 to 123. So 120.3 is the floodplain elevation. To compensate for that fill, we're proposing excavation in some other areas, additional cut compensatory storage. And this is the most predominant area. This is where the existing tennis court sits. So we'll be carving out a large portion of that, as well as some smaller areas over near Academy Village. The net result is we do have 1-to-1 compensatory storage at each of the 1 foot intervals, as well as 1.5-to-1 overall storage. We have a total fill of just over 9,000 and a total cut of a little over 14,000. So we meet both the DEP regulatory standard as well as the town's bylaw. We also have some impacts in the riverfront area and buffer zone. The riverfront area impacts are limited to less than 10% of the total riverfront area. And what those consist of, we do have some pavement area. We do have the fire lanes. We did consider this impact. And we do have some just ground disturbance. But again, the overall net impact is less than 10%. And as mitigation for that impact, we are proposing to renaturalize this rear field. And JP is going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of that, where most of that is within the riverfront area, not only the 200, but also the 100. And then lastly, I'll talk briefly on stormwater. As we mentioned, we know CPW is reviewing the stormwater study right now, but generally the existing site, I'll just flip to this. The existing site either sheets or drains to some catch basins, which discharge out into the fields here. And then this drains north to the Sudbury River. So there's some level of treatment, but not a lot. What we're proposing is to provide a stormwater system meeting the current TSS removal standards. We're going to be using deep sump catch basins. We have a couple of stormwater treatment units. We have an underground infiltration area here, and we have 2 water quality wet swales here. We are limited by groundwater. We did 5 test pits with CPW a few months ago. Groundwater is fairly high, but up in this area, we do have the separation required to meet that. The net result of the stormwater system is a reduction of the rate of flow to the Sudbury River of approximately 8% for all storms up to the 100-year storm, including the 100-year storm, I should say, as well as a reduction of volume of runoff to the river by 15 to 30%, depending on the storm. 30% for the lower storms, 15% for the 100-year storm. The other thing we also have in this proposal is this parking for the Academy Village over here. These will be on a pervious paver. So this will be a diamond block precast unit that would be filled with stone. So we'll have some added LID and treatment measures and infiltration with those as well. And the last thing I'll mention is this project will require coverage under the NEPDES construction general permit. So once a contractor is chosen, we will be coordinating with them on logistics to prepare the SWIP. All stockpiles will be kept out of buffer areas and the riverfront area. And we will have that SWIP in place prior to any construction. With that, I'd like to turn it over to JP.
And maybe Sean, just right before you do that, could you just briefly describe the minor impact associated with the not 220, the house by the river there? Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Mary.
238.
So we do have some minor buffer impacts. I think we have a total of about I think 40 total square feet within the 50 and about 2,000 total square feet within the 100. Of that impact in the 50, only 4 square feet is new impervious area. And what this is just reconstructing the walkway and the stairs into the existing home. And then the other additional impacts of within the 100 are, I think I have it here. It's only approximately 23 square feet of additional impervious because most of this is gravel driveway that serves this garage. So a lot of this impacts in previously disturbed area. JP, you want to take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Sean. Can I share my screen? Let's see here.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I know it's been a long day for you, but as far as the landscape is concerned, we think this project will have tremendous benefits both for the campus and for the ecology of the site. What's shown here is the existing conditions and the various colors refer.
Yeah.
You're not seeing my screen?
No, not yet. No.
Oh, okay. Any luck now?
It's just saying you've started.
Try just closing it and reopening.
Okay.
The answer for everything.
How's this?
There we go. All right.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. So this is the existing conditions plan and what is highlighted with the various colors of the various resource boundaries and setbacks that were previously mentioned. But just to summarize, what's in red is the 200-foot riverfront district. The blue line represents the edge of wetlands, and these are the 25, 50, and the 100-foot setbacks from it. And what's shown here in green is the 100-year floodplain. So the existing conditions, we also believe that the existing conditions of this western portion of the campus effectively, which are basically the large parking lots, tennis courts, and their associated large chain link fences and tall screening of vegetation, effectively divide or cut off the east side and west side of campus. And in its place, let me just go to the landscape plan. In its place, we are proposing a new large wildflower meadow, which is adjacent to the river shown here, and a small cluster or village for faculty housing and other campus landscapes as part of this project. For the large meadow, we are proposing to naturalize one athletic field. And to achieve this and to provide more biodiversity, we are proposing to slice seed it with native grasses and wildflowers in areas undisturbed by construction activity, and bare seeding it in disturbed areas near the building for the construction activity. This plan is proposing a meadow of approximately 61,000 feet with slightly over 6,500 square feet of mown paths in it to be able to walk through it, which will also allow and provide a learning and teaching opportunity for the faculty and students. Other landscape spaces include the Academy Village, which houses the relocated buildings, which will have a more domestic character, and the West Lawn between the historic buildings of Main Street and the new CAC or Performing Arts Center building, what we are called the West Lawn will be more of a campus landscape character with lawns and trees, and which will allow for circulation east and west and provide spaces for hanging out and pedestrian circulation. So in terms of the plant palette, it's an all native plant palette with forbs, grasses, shrubs, and trees, which are provided, the full list is provided in the plan, which I won't go over, but it's all provided. And I guess with that, I'd like to just summarize and conclude by saying that we believe that this project will have enormous benefit, just not in terms, just also from the point of view of the campus, the school, by having a new performing arts center, but it will also provide, we believe, will provide greater ecological value and stitch the entire campus together, east and west, and also reconnect the campus with the river. And with that, that concludes my talk, and I look forward, and thank you, and I look forward to this discussion.
Thank you. You good with that?
Thanks, JP. And just a couple of closing remarks, just to summarize that the project results in a reduction in impervious surfaces, significant improvements to stormwater management, a net increase in the storage, floodplain storage volume available on site, and significant riverfront area enhancements with no direct impacts to bordering vegetated wetland, and only some minor and mitigated impacts to buffer zone and riverfront area. And as we described, and Sean previously described, we meet the riverfront area performance standards and the alternatives analysis, demonstrating that the building itself, the Performing Arts Center, is entirely outside of the riverfront area, and it's only the accessory uses and parking and grading and stormwater management that has to be within the riverfront area, just because of the limitations of the project site.
Understood. Thank you, Mary.
Sure.
And certainly from what we've seen here tonight, just from my perspective, it seems like a great improvement. Certainly that meadow is a wonderful addition to, you know, the abutting riverfront and certainly the campus. So that's
a lot of excitement on campus about that.
Yeah, yeah. Seems like a very,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Just a couple of quick notes here. We talked a little bit about that 4 square feet, the 21 to 25 square feet, but he mentioned it was just a reconstruction of an existing condition, or is it an adding of an existing condition?
21 to 25. So there's some removal of walkway, and then there's reconstruction.
Just a touch more.
So is that correct?
That's correct, Delia. Yes.
Okay, so it's a little combination of both. So you will need a 25-foot waiver just for the formality of it all.
Yeah.
Okay. I was.
50, yeah.
Oh, it's 50.
It's in the 50.
Okay. Oh, it's 50. Oh, that's right. It says right here it's in the 50. Let's see. And then on trees to be removed, have those been identified on the plan in terms of size and species and mitigation for those on a one-to-one basis?
Delia had mentioned that we did get some of her comments on Monday and have not had an opportunity to update the plan, but we will certainly do that. And that's understood. The trees and the tree protection plan will be added.
Okay. And then just a perspective, a project was just in here recently with slice seeding as kind of, trying to convert existing grass to meadow and whatnot. I think it's perspective of the NRC. We haven't seen a lot of that done before, but do you guys have experience doing that? And again, that was kind of a test case for us. Out they go and we'll see how it goes. Just curious on your experience with that.
Yes, we've done it in a couple of projects. Sorry, Mary, if you want to go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yep.
We've done it in a couple of projects, one at Halibut Point State Park and one in a residence actually in Concord. And we find it to be an effective method because rather than stripping the lawn and exposing bare soil and opening it up to weeds, this actually creates small furrows to create the soil contact the seed needs. And so you're not exposing the entire area to weeds. So that's the benefit, and we're proposing that the slice seeding goes, it's basically a crosshatch. So you're not just going in one direction so that seeds aren't growing just in one, like in a grain. So by cross stitching them, you actually create a more natural look. And over time, it will outcompete the lawn. Like any meadow, it's trial and error and takes patience, but we think a little more effective than bare seeding alone.
You leave the lawn and then do this thing.
Correct.
At home.
Rather than risk exposing the entire area, and having bare soil and having there be a flood event.
Flows in there and
exactly. So it will take time to convert over. It will take some maintenance in the beginning, and there was a maintenance plan included with the notice of intent. So it won't be an instant meadow.
I was going to ask you about that, and I forgive me if I don't remember that it was in all the details that you sent, but will you keep people off it or while it's establishing itself? Will it be a no walk zone or is that not necessary?
Well, JP, you want to answer that? I think with the paths that, there are some opportunities to move around it, but that may interfere with your seeding efforts. So
there may be a period needed where, yes, you would have to restrict foot traffic to allow it to establish.
That's what I thought. Okay, thanks.
But that would be the same case if it was bare seeded as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was just thinking about all the enthusiasm and so many kids.
Yes, it takes patience, correct.
On that side of the table, I bet.
There's enthusiasm for the meadow. There's an understanding that there is areas you may have to keep off in order for that.
Right, sure. Okay.
It's also, I'll just add into this is a piece of equipment that we have. And so we're experienced in using this. Okay. So it's not something we have to go find a contractor to do this, something we have readily available. Yeah. And to JP's point, there's a little bit of trial and error. And if we see some bare spots, we can instantly go right back and try to hit it again.
Sure. And I know staff has made a notation here about potentially having an ecological professional kind of oversee the meadow. Based on your experience, your team here, what's your perspective on that?
I like to have faith in my team that we put together, that we have the expertise and the knowledge to make this work. I don't know of the individual, and Delia brought that up this week. We haven't really had a chance to talk about that in great detail. I'd like to understand a little bit more about maybe what the time constraints might be on that, as far as when does the meadow become adulthood, so to speak. Or juvenile.
I like that. Yeah.
I think having somebody, and this is obviously, up for discussion, but having somebody who can And I don't know what your staff is. Maybe that you have somebody that's qualified on staff. But what I was sort of thinking.
This team here, yes.
Okay.
This team here has technical expertise
Yeah.
that could direct our ongoing operations staff on the frequency, the methods, all that.
Right. So no, and that's I think what we're looking for is just somebody who can sort of say, okay, this is the point where you're going to do X. Now this is the next stage. And
so look, somebody like JP with that experience of a couple of these projects under his belt, you know, lessons learned could be applied.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yes.
And to have that be for the sort of 2-year Meadow establishment.
Yeah, I'm okay with 2 years. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll leave it with your team as long as you feel confident with that over the 2-year period. And I think that you probably passed on a couple of notes that should be either removed or revised, right?
Yep. We have that.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think there's one potential planting that may not be a native that should be perhaps revised. There was a California privet.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think JP might want to make a note of there was a reason that was included, and do you want to address that?
Sure. Yes. Maybe it's more effective if I show it on screen.
That's
so
okay.
Yes.
You can just tell us.
Well, okay. So it was, yes, we did propose California privet, but it's in Main Street, so out of the resource area. And there are other privet shrubs planted on Main Street. So it was meant to tie it all in together. But
What's
all
that?
Even worse.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Potentially invasive, that's our concern.
Yeah.
So we would not want to.
So is there
add
some, understanding it's outside of NRC jurisdiction?
That is.
But is there some alternative that is not an aggressive, not great, I know it's on Main Street and there, but it doesn't provide any sort of local pollinator or other wildlife benefit.
Have a conversation.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Totally.
Continuation.
Yeah.
So let us have that conversation.
And then I think there was one other thing, which was, again, up for discussion, of course, is the 4-foot, I guess there's an old metal fence that runs along the kind of the bank of the river and going to all the trouble to establish this beautiful meadow.
I know. And I have these terrible geese that are populating there and pooping all over the athletic fields. And it presents a real health hazard for us from a student activity side of things.
And that's why the fence was there in the first place.
Them from coming on. I think you were on campus a couple of weeks ago. You may have seen the fake geese.
I didn't see that. No, I didn't.
We have coyotes. We get
Sure. Everybody's got the coyotes. Yeah.
Keep them away. So
what about even where the meadow is? Like geese don't like anything that they can't. They need really low grass because they need that visual.
Right. So
but if you have to hire pollinator stuff,
my question to you, Cheryl, I could live with that if I could make sure that those geese then don't transfer from the meadow to a mowed athletic field. That's kind of that's where I'm at.
Right. So let's think about. I don't know what the solution is to that, but Mary, you're a smart woman.
I used to be head of a school in Boston College High School, BC High. We had the same problem with geese, and we ended up hiring someone with dogs.
Dogs,
Yeah, just to go running across that field.
I had a groundskeeper that had a dog.
There you go.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. We'll try to figure out if there's a way to remove the fence and create some sort of a barrier.
I appreciate you having that discussion. Thank you. Bill?
No, I'm all
Sarah? Nick?
Oh, good.
Okay. Any public comment regarding this application?
Sorry, just jump back over here. There. I am not seeing
anyone.
No, I don't.
Okay, with no public comment.
Yeah.
Timing?
Timing, so where we are right now is we peg a lot of things towards our board meeting. In an ideal world, we'd like to be in the ground a year from now.
Okay.
If not sooner.
Okay.
I would let's call it late spring, early summer. We're still working through some of these details and maybe some enabling projects. And those predominantly would be those 2 houses that we want to move, create those foundations, say early spring, ready to go, because those are where adults live, and I need them to be focused on the academic part.
Yeah, get them first and then come after.
So
okay,
that's kind of where we are. Probably a 2-year process for the construction.
Okay.
So finish, let's call it, we start June of 23, we'll finish June of 25.
Okay. All right. And then for the short term, in terms of plan revisions and stuff, or are you good about?
For next meeting, which is September 7th, plans revisions in by next Friday.
A week from Friday, right?
Yes, a week from this Friday. So nine days.
Sean, what do you, I think that we may need to do some additional survey. Is that correct, to locate trees, or do we have all that information already?
Yeah, we may, JP, do you have good information on the trees, or do we need to
suggest that you guys figure out what you have? We'll continue this to the 7th.
And if it doesn't work, let us know.
Let us know, and you'll go out to the 21st.
Sure. Perfect. Should be a requirement for the 7th.
Yes.
For the 7th.
If you want to,
if you want to close,
if you want to,
wouldn't close them out.
No.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So you can let us know what works best for you. Okay.
Thank you.
With that, we're good. Well, thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
It really looks great. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good seeing you.
We look forward to being invited to the opening.
I know, I like the excitement.
I go see the slice seating.
Yeah.
There you go.
Try it at Hayward.
All right. COCs?
Okay, so we have 2. The first one is 245 Park Lane. That was for a pool installation in the floodplain that has been reviewed and is good to go.
Great.
The second one is for a demo and rebuild at 42 Birch Drive. That one, there's some fill that with lawn debris and just a little bit of construction debris that was placed very close to the wetlands. I meant to ask you, Karen, are they closing on that?
On the house?
I thought it already sold.
Okay.
Because we did a partial before.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna share the screen with you so you can see what I
so now has new owners though?
it's a new owner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So the new owner then, and this is what gets challenging, is now the new owner is going to be stuck with
cleaning that up.
Right. Right. But this is the material that
That's where due diligence comes in.
Yeah. All this is
Stuff.
all this stuff.
And where is that located in regard to the?
It's pretty much in the 25.
Wow.
No.
To
Okay.
50. They had extended the driveway, or they hadn't removed the driveway from the 50-foot. They did remove that, so that's now in compliance.
Okay.
And that was just based on a plan review. Then I said, your plan was, you were supposed to remove that from the 50 and you didn't. So do that. And then I went out and I looked at it and saw this, which I think it's great.
So what do you want to do here in terms of this?
If it's a new homeowner, I really hate to make the new homeowner responsible, but I think I guess I would suggest.
Maybe they put it there, put it there.
That's true. It doesn't look, it doesn't look
Fresh.
very old.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
So maybe then just hold off until I can have a conversation with the homeowner.
So let's just do number 1.
Push it to the 7th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just need a motion on the first one.
So I'll move that we issue a certificate of compliance for 245 Park Lane, DEP file 1371547.
Second.
All right. The vote, Bill?
Yay. Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Nick? And I'm an aye as well. All right. We'll skip over other business. I don't think there is any. And admin approvals, Delia?
So we have 5 administrative approvals, all for tree removals. All have been reviewed by staff. We have a variety of hazards, up to 5 on all of these. Most of them are less than that. So we didn't have any issues with any of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Okay.
All right.
And we do have another business, but you'll want to adjourn this meeting.
Yep.
And
all right.
Motion to.
So as of now, we are adjourned.
There's no one else on anyway.
There is nobody else on.
And then we'll
Okay.
go into executive session.
So I'm gonna stop.
Stop the recording.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. I'm gonna stop the recording here. Are you sure? Yes.